right, I think we're good to get started. It's 5 o'clock. Welcome to the July 8th Planning Commission meeting. Call to order and then approval minutes from the June 10th meeting.
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right. Communications from the audience. This is for items not listed on the public hearing on the agenda. So anything, if you'd like to say anything that is not for one of these items, please feel free to step forward. All right, seeing none, we'll move on to new business. Agenda item for 100 West 10th Street, 14-unit, two-story apartment building. I will open it up to the applicant to come up and present.
Good evening. My name is Jacob Horner. I'm the head of real estate for Dwelling Place. We're a not-for-profit organization based in Grand Rapids, but we've been working in the Holland community for about 14 years. We own and operate Midtown Apartments just down the road here. So happy to be here today. Thank you. This is a reapproval of a existing site plan that was approved quite some time ago, but we've been working on the project financing for the last few years, and we got it funded. And so now we're in the last stages of designing the project and moving it forward. And so our previous site plan approval had gone stale, and we also didn't need to make a few changes to it. Not major changes, but we did work with city staff to align that as needed. And so we're here today to ask for approval of both site plans. So the first one is for the Hope Church building. And I don't know if there's any specific questions, but essentially this will be owned and operated by Dwelling Place, as well as Community Action House in the Little River Band of Ottawa Indians. So we're in a partnership together to operate that. And this building is 14 apartments. It's 2 stories. It will incorporate a lot of accessibility features. We have an award of, they're called Section 811 vouchers, but essentially those are vouchers that are available for folks with disabilities that will be able to live there, and that will help them pay for the rent. This is on a property that's currently owned by Hope Church. There's a playground on the site, so we actually just completed construction of a new playground elsewhere on Hope Church's property, and so the old one will be removed, and we'll be starting construction. We're hoping to get started in September. So happy to answer any questions.
Any comments from staff?
I'll provide just a few, if I may here. So just a couple things. You're being asked to approve the site plan. As mentioned, this is very similar to what you've seen before. A couple of the differences. Originally, this came through with a project that was on the United Methodist Church property to the north, so that's been taken off. Originally, the approval that we gave was for a 15-unit apartment. Now this has been reduced to 14 units. You are also being asked to weigh in on the corner treatment. If you remember, this is in the form-based code. We require really basically an entrance at the corner for a building like this. You can see where they have the 2 entrances, one on Pine, one on 10th Street. Those are in the same place that they were originally. You have the ability to approve that if you see fit. This is what we approved last time. I'm suggesting that you approve that again. We also need to grant, or you need to grant a waiver for the amount of glass on the fronts of the street frontages. If you remember, we require 30% glazing. They're at 27%. Again, that's the same as it was with the original project. So staff is recommending that you approve the new site plan with the corner treatment and the glazing as proposed.
So Steve, those are the only changes. Are those changes? No.
Those really aren't changes.
Yeah.
Those are the same. The changes are the reducing of one apartment, and the United Methodist Church project is no longer a part of this phase. So the other things are basically the same. The site plan has been refined. I mean, some of us would be able to tell some of those things, but it's essentially the same site plan.
And is this an entry only, does it just enter one way, exit the other? Yeah.
Correct, it's
Yeah.
just a one-way drive.
Yeah, the way the drive is set up, it's for one-way
Okay.
traffic.
And that's, works with the angled parking.
And that's what it was originally as well.
And the parking stayed the same, so none of the spots have been reduced?
I think there's one spot being reduced as a result of the
One
apartment
apartment.
coming down, so, yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, we're at 15, I think we were at 16 previously.
Okay.
Any comments, questions from commission?
I just have a couple of comments. One, I understand the need for the Methodist Church, part of it to go down just because of I know there were some state funding issues with that, some complications that went along with that. I applaud your tenacity in continuing on with this project. Would have loved to have seen it with all of the units there, but in looking at it, great project, great location. I know that you guys have been working really hard and in partnering with the churches to be able to get this thing across the finish line. I think it's a great project, great for the neighborhood. I think it's going to look really good with the neighborhood and really meets a need that we have here in the city. And so I applaud you guys for the great work that you've been doing with this. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
And I'd like to make a motion that with the recommendations from staff, that we approve this.
Support.
All right.
Oh, do
Yeah,
we
we
do a
have to do
public hearing on
comment,
this
yeah.
first, do we?
Yeah.
Thanks for that. Thank you,
Yeah.
Lynn. Appreciate that. So I'm going to rescind my motion for the moment until we do the public
On
hearing.
that note,
I'll send my support,
yeah.
yeah.
we can now open up the public hearing for anyone who would like to comment on the site plan. All right, the public.
I'll make a
Oh,
comment,
okay.
just because I can't hardly believe what I just saw. But Dave DeYoung, I'm actually here for the next project. I own a property at 271 West 12th Street, but I think it's almost, you guys are so in support of this that I don't even know why you have a public hearing on it at all, because you jump to the gun. You don't even need to hear from the public, so I don't even know why we're here to say anything. I think it's actually pretty sad because it doesn't seem to me like it's a good way to serve your citizens. Enough on that. Thank you.
Thank you.
It's really crazy.
Any other comments? All right, we'll close the public hearing. So any motions, comments, questions?
I'll make a comment in regard to the public commenter. Do appreciate that. Thank you. This is not the first time that this has come before the Planning Commission. Have discussed this multiple times in front of this body, and have heard from the public in a number of different capacities in this regard.
Yep.
So don't have any problem, again, with the wholehearted support of this project.
Yep.
And in that regard, we'll renew my motion.
All right, do we have
I will just say I was at the first meeting and it was the exact same thing. I was here and planned to say something. You guys already have your minds made up. You already know what you wanted. Once again,
Okay.
that
Okay,
previous meeting.
I appreciate your comments, but the public comment is closed. Thank you. All right.
Yeah, so renew my motion with the recommendations from staff.
Support.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, we'll move on to item B on the agenda, 345 Collin Park Drive, 138 unit, 3-story apartment building and 5 townhomes. I invite the applicant to come up and present.
Yes, so we also had this one approved in 2023. So as a separate package that we put together with the other building for our financing application. And so this is, again, just that had went stale, and so we're here for asking for reapproval of that. So this is the development of the Collin Park land, which is some of it's owned by the city of Holland. Another chunk of it is owned by Community Action House, our partner in this development. And so we're going to be constructing a 38-unit building, so it's 52 total between the two buildings. as well as 5 townhomes. And so I don't know if you can see it on screen, but that's just directly south of this. There's kind of a little sliver of land there on where you access off 15th Street, where we would build those townhomes. So that would be a future phase. So we would like to get started on the apartments as soon as we can. Again, similar timeline to the Hope Building, so we're looking to get started in the fall. Again, they'll be affordable for folks that are making 80% or below very median income, and we're going to be operating both buildings in the same manner. So, again, I don't know if there's any questions, or Steve, if there's items you'd like to point out, but just would ask for your approval. So, thank you.
Yeah. Steve, go ahead.
Sure.
Info.
Sure, thank you. So again, you've seen this before, you've approved the site plan before. Really, the only change to this plan is the larger apartment building has been reduced from 41 units to 38. But essentially, the rest of the site plan remains the same. So again, you're being asked to approve the site plan. This property is in what we call the redevelopment mixed-use zoning district. So previous to that, this area was zoned industrial. So with the UDO changes, we put it in that redevelopment mixed use, which allows for apartments. And so there's no form-based code, so we're not talking about any of the waivers and glazing and that sort of thing with this project. So I think we did have some. This is a elevation plan of the 5-unit townhomes. And this is the elevation plan of the apartment building. But again, very similar to what you have seen before. You've got your report from all the different staff. Again, very normal conditions. We're recommending approval of the site plan with the conditions noted in the report.
Okay. Any questions from the commission at all? Or comment?
I just want to say I think this is great. I really like this. But I do have a question wondering why is there a reasoning between such a heavy emphasis on the 1-bedroom compared to the 2-bedroom? Because I think in my notes I had it as a 44 1-bedrooms and 8 2-bedrooms to that. I think again, this is a great first step forward, but I think a missing part is the young professional couple that is maybe trying to start a family. I know that can be difficult to find a place with that. So I was just wondering if there was a reason for such an emphasis on the 1-bedroom versus the 2-bedroom.
Mm-hmm. Part of that is we obtain a market study, and so we have an analyst that we pay a fee for. They're a third party, and essentially that's required by MISHDA, but they go and they look at the market and they look at what the demand has been, and so they're also looking at the income levels that we're going to be serving, and so they kind of look at how many 1-bedrooms, 2-bedrooms are in the market that might be available for each of those demographics, and so part of that was a bit of a driver is we saw that there was a lot of demand for 1-bedroom units, and we do have a fairly good sized one, so I do think that a couple would be able to live there with a child, maybe temporarily, probably not long term, but I think that could be accommodated, and this is a family development, so we do encourage that. But yeah, I think it's largely a reflection of the market analysis that we do and coordinating with MISHDA on what that unit mix should be. Mm-hmm.
So you talked a little bit about those at an income level qualifying for this housing.
Mm-hmm.
Do they also have to be disabled in some way, or how would one go about qualifying to receive?
They don't need to be disabled to qualify to live there. We do have, so 11 out of the 52 total will have Section 811 vouchers, which those are specifically for folks that have disabilities. And so those 11 at least will be filled by disabled folks, and then also 10% of them will, or 10% of the apartments, so rounding up as 6, will be designed with all the accessibility features. But you don't have to be disabled to live in the development.
Cool. Any other comments or questions? All right, I'm going to open up the public hearing. Individuals that would like to comment or speak on behalf of this agenda item may approach the mic. And please state your name and address for the record.
Dave DeYoung, 271 West 12th Street. do you guys read comments that are sent in to you at all? That's not part of your plan?
Yep.
Did you receive any? Are you gonna read those? I'm just asking. Is that part of the plan to read the public the comments that were sent in?
Sorry, I don't want to misconstrue. I think the intent of this is for you to provide comments to us. This isn't a question and answer, so.
Yeah, no, I understand that. I'm just wondering if you read the comments that were sent in by your citizens. Do you read those at this meeting?
No.
You don't? Did the planning commission receive them? Okay. Well, I think the only thing I'm gonna say is I'm very opposed to this project. I don't think it makes a lot of sense along Holland Park. I don't think it makes sense that it's 5 blocks over from the plan that you guys have for the western corridor for the entry of 8th Street. I don't think it flows with that at all to have that massive approval of the development there on 8th Street, and then you have Boat Works and you have Holland Park, and now you're gonna put affordable housing, in my mind, on the water. I think it will eventually take down the values of all the properties right around that neighborhood. I don't really think that you guys are considering the citizens there. But I know that that's already not being considered by what you guys have said at the previous meeting. So that's all I have. Thank you for listening. Not necessarily hearing, but listening.
Thank you for your input. Anyone else like to come to speak?
My name is Jan Van Tatenhove. My address is 340 West 14th Street. I live in the southeast corner of 14th and Harrison, exactly kitty corner from Community Action Center and where you plan to put your parking lot. I agree with the former witness that the opportunity for public comments was way inadequate, very poorly publicized, and I don't think that our ideas were considered well at all. Specifically, issues I have, I don't think you have any idea what effect your building is going to have on the entire neighborhood. First of all, let's talk parking. You have 38 units and you have 41 parking places allowed. I know that is said to be legal, but I think that's so antiquated that that's absolutely ludicrous. Anybody with a 1-bedroom apartment and 2 people, they're each going to have a car. 1 apartment, you need 2 parking places. So that's the first thing. There's going to be cars all over the place. They're not going to be just in the parking lot. They're going to try to park in Thermotron's parking lot. They're going to be filling up the street on 14th and Harrison, and then 14th Street, and then between 14th and 15th and Harrison, there's going to be cars all over the place. And that's just summertime parking. What are you going to do in the winter when there's no parking out on the street allowed because the snowplow trucks have to get through? Then, in the winter, how are you going to plow that parking lot? You know, in the middle of the night, I have snowplows across from my house plowing the disabled group home, and that tends to wake me up. I really resent the idea of my sleep being annoyed, interrupted by anyone, anywhere, anytime. To me, sleep is sacred. This is going to bring cars coming and going at all hours of the day and night. I have worked 3rd shift. I have worked 2nd shift. I have not been a wealthy woman. I have worked just like all these lower income people you're hoping to serve. And you have shifts where you start at 3 a.m. Last summer, my neighbor across the street who rents, they're trying their best. They had a muffler that did not work, and he had to be at work at 3 a.m. and wake me up every night. This is going to be all kinds of cars coming, going, all hours of the night. And they're not going to be well-kept cars. And that's just the traffic. There's light pollution. I am not a fan of lights. You think that lights make people feel safer? I say baloney, because the light, no matter where you put it, it's not doing any good unless there's somebody watching that light. All it does is make the thieves make their job easier. So there's noise pollution, there's light pollution, there's going to be people coming and going. And I have dealt with, lived in a lot of not very nice neighborhoods, and I have been awakened several times out of a nice sound sleep with two people fussing and fighting and dropping F-bombs on the sidewalk in front of my house. And I tell you, they have met the childless cat lady from the underworld, because I get on my, throw on whatever I can, I run out there with my cell phone and my clipboard, and I tell them to shut up, get away, this is my house, this is my street, this is my neighborhood, and you do not disturb my sleep. And I have called the police more than once, and I will not hesitate to do it again. I will not have my quiet, peaceful lifestyle disturbed by a bunch of people fussing and fighting, coming and going, and you know they're not going to be staying inside in that little community room. They're going to be outside partying and making a lot of noise. And is my neighborhood going to be safe anymore? Are my cats going to be safe in my yard? Are going to be people walking back and forth looking to swipe stuff out of my yard, which has happened?
You have 10 seconds.
It was 20 years ago when I bought my house, and stuff would be stolen out of my yard. Not any longer. It's been much better. Much better. But I do not want all kinds of people coming and going.
Ma'am,
I do not.
Your 5 minutes is up. I apologize. Your 5 minutes is up.
Oh,
Thank
I'm sorry. I didn't understand.
Thank you.
It.
Is there any other feedback from the audience? All right, I'm going to close the public hearing. Any comments or motions?
I recognize and understand the concerns of the public and the neighbors. This is, has been, as long as I've been mayor, one of the top priorities of council is to try to address the affordable housing issue that we have in the city of Holland. And I'm actually very proud of the fact that the city has been able to partner with Dwelling Place partly on this project. It is a neighborhood where there are a lot of people that live, and part of living in a neighborhood is there's noise when you're living in a neighborhood. There's traffic when you're living in a neighborhood. I think that Dwelling Place has done a very good job in trying to design a project that fits with the neighborhood, that works well within the neighborhood, that does meet the parking requirements that are there. And while with any project there can be concerns about, is there going to be an increase in traffic? Is there going to be an increase in noise? Is there going to be an increase in light? All of those requirements under the code have been met with this particular project, as staff has said. We went through with all of the staff departments, as we do with each and every site plan, have met all of those requirements. There are questions raised about notification to the public. We have requirements that we have to meet as a public body in notifying the neighbors. Those notices went out. I received one at my own house just this week about a project that's taking place in my neighborhood. Received that postcard so that I could, as a neighbor of that particular project, speak to that particular project. We have to meet those requirements with every single one that we do. I don't think that there's a project that we do that we don't hear from a neighbor that says, well, why don't you do a wider swath? We have a particular requirement that we have to meet from the state in order to be able to do that. We've also heard from the public today that, that we're not listening to the public, or that they may think that this is the only forum. Talking to the public in a variety of different projects. And I think with this one in particular, for a number of years, we've been talking to the public about this particular project. And While there have been some voices that have been negative in regard to this project, overwhelmingly, the voices that I've been hearing in regard to these projects has been positive, and especially in regard to the location of this project. I love the fact that this project is right next to Holland Park. It's in a neighborhood where families live. It has close access to not only the park, but to the water. It is in a place where people want to live. We want people and families and young professionals living close to this. Alec, you mentioned why not have more two-bedroom apartments so that young professionals, and Alec, you're a young professional. I know that you were thinking personally, this might be a place where you might want to live. It has been a goal to get people into these neighborhoods, living close to where the amenities are, so that they can walk to downtown, so that they can walk to, if Waterfront Holland it comes to fruition, that they can walk there, they can walk to Boatworks, they can walk to the waterfront. They've got the ability to be able to do that so that we can reduce the number of cars that are out there. I love the look of this project. It's one of the goals that we have had as council to try to change what people's idea of what affordable housing can be, what it looks like, what the type of people that are living in affordable housing is. We are talking about young professionals, we are talking about firefighters, we are talking about teachers, we are talking about the everyday people that you see on the street. Our essential workers need places to live. This is the type of place that we ought to be building for them. Am I enthusiastic about this project? I absolutely am. I am glad to see that it's here. Am I a little bit disappointed that the number of units has been reduced? I am. I understand that. That is a fact of life, but we are getting these units approved so that they can be built, so that we can get people living in these units in good neighborhoods in the city, close to the amenities that we have, so that they've got the ability to be good citizens in the city of Holland. And I'm going to be voting yes on this.
Steve, related to like entrance for car parking, and I know you guys do a great job of like light pollution coming in, car lights coming in and out. Can you kind of speak to any of the due diligence you did as a city staff for cars coming and going, and whether or not they would reflect in neighbors' yards?
So we certainly do have some landscaping requirements, and you can kind of see on the drawing there, you know, that there'll be some landscaping in and around the outer edges of the parking lot. So while we don't necessarily have requirements for screening of car lights, certainly that perimeter landscaping will address some of that. And then any outdoor lighting, as we do in all of our lighting requirements, is required to be downcast and shielded so that it's not, you know, spread out. Doesn't mean that you don't see light from your neighbors, but that's the requirement, so that all of that light is directed down and not out. Just maybe as a reminder, I think the mayor just hit on a couple of these topics, but maybe more for the public than you guys. You know, this area was also part of the master plan update, and if you remember the South Shore Village sub-area plan that we did, this plan is very similar to what came out of that large public forum as well. So the point was made that, you know, we've had a lot of public comment. I would agree with that in regards to that master planning effort over the last couple of years, you know, we were talking specifically about this area, and the plans really that you're seeing now were a result of a lot of that public input as well. So just not so much a reminder for you, but maybe for the public that we've been talking about this area for a long time.
Is this an existing curb cut?
So they
entrance?
don't access Collin Park, so they're.
No, I mean the coming in off of
It may be, I don't know if it's existing, it may be moving a little bit to accommodate them.
Because I think, I was thinking about that too, Jennifer, when you said that, and it looks like there isn't a house directly across the street. There's one on each corner, but there's an empty lot in the middle.
And Steve, you said that this was zoned previously for industrial, correct?
So, yeah, previously, this whole area was industrial, so
Which is
certainly.
loud and there's a lot of light and noise coming from industrial areas, probably more so than residential.
Which was part of the reason, I think, with Udo, that we put it in the redevelopment mixed use, really seeing this area changing from that industrial to something, quite frankly, like this.
Hmm.
I just wanted to thank you, Mayor, for your comments. I think they encapsulated certainly what I would think that the city council is concerned about and hopes to see. I also would like to say that I live in this neighborhood. I am 2 blocks from this one and 4 blocks from the other one. And I am happy to see this coming into my neighborhood. There's actually an empty building at the end of my street that I would love to see created into housing, affordable housing. I just think that when we can repurpose these areas for uses in housing, it's just it's exciting and it's meeting a need in the community. So I'm thrilled to see this happening in my neighborhood.
I move we approve with the recommendations of staff.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, agenda item, admin review updates.
So it's that time of the year, kind of give you guys the twice-a-year update of the projects that go through the planning process, but they just don't come to planning commission. So these are the administrative site plan review projects that have come in for the second half of the fiscal year. 721 East 48th Street, industrial building. This is 48th and Waverly, so sort of that northeast corner. If you've been out there, this site is actually under construction right now. I think it really was just some spec space, but that is going in right now. 57, 55, 143rd Street. We actually denied this site plan. So this is on the south side of the expressway, kind of south and west of the airport. Quite frankly, and I know you're used to seeing a sort of list of conditions of approval, that's very normal. There were simply too many items that were big ticket items here that would alter the site plan from all the different departments, storm sewer, access into the site, property line adjustments, water and sewer looping. So there was just a lot of items that needed to be addressed first. So this one did not get approved. DeBoer Bakery expanding their parking lot. So that site plan has been approved. They have not started on that project just yet. And then this just came in, so this is actually still under review, but it slipped in right before the fiscal year. This is Pizza Ranch, a 2,700 square foot addition to that building. So that addition would go towards 16th Street. I think they call it a game room, so I don't know that it's more restaurant space. Don't know if they're trying to compete with Dave and Buster idea or something, but those are the admin reviews that came in for the last half of the year. That's all I have for you.
Nice, thanks. All right, scheduling and public hearings, it doesn't look like we have any. Communications from commission members? Nothing? All right, communications from staff?
I don't have anything for you.
All right, cool. All right. We'll make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All right,